Hey you guys, welcome back. In this video, I've got two 911s side by side. A first generation 997 Carrera 4 and a first generation 991 Carrera 2. Let's go check them out. Take a look. Yeah. Hey guys, so I've got my friend Pat with me here today. Pat has this beautiful 997 behind us, and if you saw my oil change video recently, you'll know that Pat is Superman that saved the day. Say hello, Pat.
Hey guys.
So Pat, tell us a little bit about your 997.
It's a 2006. Bought it last year around this time. Had about 98,000 miles on it. Came with a fresh set of winter tires on it, so it's on the road for the winter. Minimal updates to it. Pretty much just been maintenance and getting it ready for the road. So no, it's a manual transmission. Good car.
Let's go check it out. So in this video, guys, my friend Pat and I are going to talk through the differences between the 997 and the 991. And as it turns out, they're both first generations. So this is before Porsche came and just tweaked with it a little bit more. So they're both, I guess, first gen babies. And we also both own 996s prior to this, and I used to own a 997. So I feel like we bring quite a bit of experience with the models to this conversation. And I think the first thing that jumps out to me between these two models is just the feeling of size. The 991 feels and looks bigger, even though on paper we're talking about an inch, maybe a half an inch in some of the dimensions. But it just, you know, all right, you're a tall guy, I'm a big guy. I love the fact that that is a little...
Well, and I was going to ask you that. Do you feel that it fits better sitting in this than it did in your 997? Do you have more room?
Yeah, I do. And like the 996, I felt comfortable, but it was a bit tight. The 997 gave me a little bit more room because I think the door panels themselves are a bit thinner, a bit narrower, and then I felt like I got even more room with the 991.
A positive upgrade then.
Oh, definitely. and the 992, funnily enough, when I sat in that the other day, even though the chair feels about the same, the dashboard isn't as deep, it doesn't come out as far, and so my knee, I feel like I've got even more knee room. It's almost like a little bit off-putting. It's so spacious.
But yet the car on the outside is only growing inches.
Right. So the size, and you know, you were mentioning the wheel arches. You got the wide body anyway because yours is the C4.
Right, and that was one of the reasons why I went with the C4s. I wanted the bulging wheel wells. I wanted the aggressive stance, the aggressive look.
Yeah, and do you have spacers on these?
I have spacers on the rears only because the winter tires that I have are not a staggered set.
Ah, okay.
So I needed to kind of just push them out a little bit just to keep the track well set up.
Got it. But you can see that the wheel arches are flared a little bit more on this base C2, even at the front, in fact. I mean, I would expect the rear to be a little bit, but until seeing these two cars next to each other, I didn't realize that the front was also flared. Yeah,
you got a lot more flare, and that was one of the design choices I believe that Porsche started doing when they went from the 997s to the 991s, is retaining more people like the wide body look. So they wanted that wide body look in the base models as well.
And then the other difference between these two generations is the headlights.
That's the headlights, yep.
They're both still the classic spotlights. I sort of refer to them as the what are they called?
Bug eyes, frog eyes.
Right. So the 997 sort of corrected what the 996 tried to do by changing it up. Right. And we've gone back to the sort of classic 993-esque or 964S lights, and they've carried them over here to the 991, but the 991 lights look more oval than round.
More oval than round, and then also more aerodynamic. Like we mentioned, we got flatter headlights here, more rounded headlights here, so they kind of carry that same shape and form of your body panels into it. And I always kind of wondered why they did that until I started getting around the car more, and you could see that this line is carried right into the bumper a lot more, versus kind of flat.
Yeah, right. And now the front of the hood, the front is more or less the same. They bring it over this body panel, and it scoops around. So that's pretty similar. So the other thing I noticed between the two models are the wheels. The wheels on the 991 are just remarkably bigger in many ways. Not just the fact that it's an extra inch, but the wheel arches look even slightly bigger. They're just, you got bigger shoes on this one.
You got bigger wheels. I mean, these on here are 18s. So, yeah, they look a little bit smaller. I can put 19s on it, and I do have a set of 19-inch rims that I will put on for next summer.
Yeah.
But the only reason why mine get filled out more is because I've lowered it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Mine has gone down, with the coilover kit, has gone down 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches. So it makes a little bit of a difference.
And so you got 18s on there, the 20 on there, yeah.
Yeah.
They almost look ridiculous how big they are. I mean, I like it. I like how big they are. And then with the 992, you can get them even bigger.
You can get them even bigger, and they look even more kind of, they almost look almost cartoony when you start to go with the 992.
Yeah.
It's like, do they need to be that big?
And then you get to the rear end of the car, the differences in the back are also pretty distinct, actually, once you start getting to know the models. The tail lights are different. The rear grille is different. The way the spoiler actually deploys is different.
Yep.
So your deck lid, the whole thing basically lifts up.
Right, yeah. From basically here to here, this whole area is the active spoiler, whereas yours is
just this like visor at the back.
I wish they would have done on these. I wish they would have done like they did with the Panamera, where it goes up and then it folds out again.
Oh, no way, dude.
Oh.
No way. I don't like that at all. Well, so the spoilers and then the rear lights obviously are very different. I personally prefer the 997 lights. I think they're way better than these. I mean, these are growing on me, to be honest, but I still can't quite get behind them. So we talked about the deck lid, we talked about the rear lights. I think we're missing something else. What
Performance. Horsepower.
Yeah.
325. What's in this?
375.
That much more.
Yeah, so I get an uplift of 50 horses.
And I think this can only go up another 25 if I went to a 4S.
Oh, really?
I think that's all it is. Maybe it's a 35 increase.
I'd need to double check.
Yeah, I thought it was only like 25, 30 more.
I know with the tune, that's all you can get out of it. Maybe 15 to 20. If I was to tune this one, because it's the base, I'd get a 15 or 20 uplift. If it was the S, it would start at 400.
Okay.
And I could tune it and get 450 out of it.
Okay. I guess the other part outside of performance is handling.
Yeah.
Two-wheel drive, you go into a corner, it pushes you straight.
Yeah.
All-wheel drive, it wants to pull you like a sleigh through the corner.
Right. And I noticed that even more so the other day on the snow with this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like a completely different car.
Well, and a couple of us after breakfast there on Sunday were doing donuts in the parking lot. I have to turn traction control off because all this does is do a power slide. It won't do a donut unless you turn it off.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you can get the back end kicked out quite quick.
Right.
You run around the roundabout out here and you can drift around it and have fun all day long.
Right. And actually, speaking of traction control, the other differences, which are really distinct, I think, are the interior. The changes they've made on the interior. The steering wheel, the PCM, the center console it's night and day difference.
Yep. And it's all been on driving based on customer wants and things like that. Everything's become more computerized, you have more options available as to switches and exhaust and suspension and stuff like that. Whereas this pretty much goes back to basics.
Right.
I mean, and I think that's one of the draws. A lot of people stick with their 997s There's fewer or less computers in it, so there's a fewer or less nannies
Yeah.
involved. So it's more of a it's a more pure driving experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, to all the advantages of having this and a PDK automatic and stuff, there's still something to be said about driving a manual transmission and rowing through the gears and
Definitely.
having fun. So they kind of both serve two purposes in what you tend to drive.
But even the look and feel, like the difference between the 996 and the 997 was quite distinct. Like as much as I liked the interior of the 996 while I had it, as soon as I got into the 997, I just couldn't go back to that 996 interior.
I agree 100%.
It hasn't aged well at all.
No. And the 996, you could tell after you started seeing the 997 come out was the Porsche's philosophy of designing to meet a price point to fit their needs at that time.
Right.
Everything was plastic. You had very little leather as far as dash goes. I mean, I went from a 996 that had a half plastic dash to this that's a full leather dash.
Right.
And it just feels more of a richer vehicle
Yeah.
than the 996 did.
Now, not that this is a difference between the generations, but I went from a full leather interior 997 to a plastic interior with my 991. And I've got to say, I look at it and I'm a little disappointed. Like, I've got the leather seats, great, and the leather steering wheel, but having the sort of plastic dash trim,
Yeah.
I've gone backwards there, I think.
You have, but you've taken leaps forward as far as abilities too now. You've added Apple CarPlay, navigation. I mean, navigation in this was notorious for being not worth even using.
Yeah.
So in those regards, I wish I had something like this as far as an interior in here.
So the big question, would you get a 991? And you can't say no because you're waiting for the 992. But if there was the choice between a new 997 and you could option it however you wanted, and a new 991 and you could option it however you wanted, both first gen, what would you do?
It's a hard question. I'd probably go.
Would you?
Yeah.
And why? Because of the updates and the tweaks?
Yeah, I think so. If there was money was no object,
Yeah.
I'd keep this and get that in addition to it.
Yeah.
I'd put a lift in the garage and go, okay, this is track car weekends, running up and down the
Right.
roads and stuff, having fun with the gears.
Right.
This is driving daily.
Yeah.
I still get to have the experience of the 9911.
Yeah.
So, but I do look towards the future of being able to get something like this down the road. This filled a need. I had gone almost 20 years without a manual transmission in the house, and I wanted to get to that. Unbeknownst to me, as soon as I got to the manual transmission, the game changed.
Yeah.
Everybody started going to PDK. I'm seeing the advantages of the PDK,
Yeah.
but I'm begrudgingly sticking with my manual transmission for the foreseeable future.
So I like the way you think, getting a lift and putting it in the garage. I wasn't going to go there, but what I was going to say was, if money was no object, I would take this PDK transmission and I would somehow figure out how to get it into my black 997. Well, that's it for another video. Thanks for checking in. Pat, thanks so much for coming over.
No problem, thank you.
We're going to be following this up shortly with a podcast where we're going to get into the differences between the generations again and go into a little more detail. And if you read between the lines, that means I can actually have the spec up in front of me, so I'm not reaching for facts. Hey, this is Auto Amateur. This isn't the Auto Pros. Thanks for checking in. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye. Should we take a look?